JB here from Alpha Wolf Consulting. Coming to you today with another episode of Stone Does Adventures, where I'm going out to, I think it's called Junee National Park, which is roughly just maybe half an hour out of Middlemount. So I'm pretty keen for that. I haven't been out that way yet, so I think it's going to be a really fun time. And I just wanted to bring you in on this episode. What I wanted to talk about, and what I'll probably talk about, will have to do with really heavily with spirituality. Okay, so just as a preface, I want to explain where I conclude my hypothesis from, and what influencing factors and what theoretical data I use to basically formulate my theses and sort of work through and understand. To come to the beliefs and conclusions on life that I have in the universe, I've dedicated, probably minimum 100,000 hours just over the last 5 years alone. So my whole life, I've had one goal, and that was to understand the universe and sort of understand life, what causes life, what creates life, what is the meaning of life. And I'll basically talk you through today the different theories, the different mentors that I seeked to find, and basically I'll basically walk you through the story of sort of what I've found along the way. So to understand this, I've dedicated a lot of time in theoretical physics. Now, I've got no degrees, okay? I just have an obsessive personality, and I used to love and obsess about theoretical physics, because theoretical physics is life in possibility. So you got to understand, and this is what's so exciting about it, is in theoretical physics, anything is possible. We just have to find out, is it actually real? So what we do is we formulate our most creative ideas of what could be, and then we create and test models and measures to see if it's true. And it's a very exciting thing, because once we take one step past theoretical physics, and then we go into quantum physics, and then we get into metaphysics, when we can connect the dots between the three, we can see how to create infinite possibilities. So understand, my belief in life and my purpose in life is to seek knowledge and truth. Though truth is not real, for truth is subjective, not objective. There is no universal truths. There is just our interpretation of truth, because meaning and truth is only derived within us. It's not derived outside of us. A lion doesn't say he eats a gazelle because it's true. He just does. And this is one important thing to understand when it comes to life and the universe and the overall universe meaning is, it just is. Okay? Because there's life, I am alive. Okay? There is no meaning outside of that. Life is a state of flow. Life is all the potential energy that ever is and ever was and ever can be. So we've got to understand that life is not, and when I say life, I talk about the energetic structure of life, the electromagnetic sphere we create in our chest by being alive, the energy we give to each other and we take from another. Okay, so you got to understand we are energetic beings when we understand that we create different frequencies and wavelengths. Like, for example, I am utilizing energy through vocal spoken word. So through the utilization of muscles and chemical energy, so releasing protons and shit like that and sugars and all of that, I'm able to manipulate my muscles to create specific lengths of wind to go across my vocal cords, and then basically I'm able to shape it with my tongue and mouth. Okay, so we got to understand it's a transference of energy, because all you hear on the other end is the vibration tones. So you hear the vibrations, and then your brain creates cohesive, consensus order with those vibrations to mean specific words. So we got to understand that meaning is a way for our brain to associate different forms of information together. It's a cohesive way. So, for example, in life, me personally, I try to create meaning in everything I do naturally, because it's a way to create a story. And this is why in life, and it's a funny thing, because in life it's been so drummed out of us, but we all create and weave these stories of our life. So our life isn't just existing, but it's a story of points between existence, of meaning, of feelings, of emotions. So we got to understand that all these moments are woven together in a cohesive form that we create a narrative and a story about. Okay? So when we understand this, we're able to understand that meaning is only inside of us and it is not outside of us. So I have meaning in my life, and all actions have a meaning to me, but they won't mean the same to you, and your meanings won't mean the same to me. So we've got to understand that when it comes to truth and meaning, okay, it's not based on objective truth, and we should never seek to base it on objective truth. We should always seek to base it on subjective truth and have a coherent version. So that's all truth is. A truth is an agreed upon belief of this is how it should be. So, we all agree that, you shouldn't go out and harm others, okay? And those who don't agree with that and that are predators, I look forward to meeting you. I will show you why you want to believe that people should not be fucking mistreated. So, but that I digress, but the thing we got to understand is that our meaning is what is sacred to us, but we can't put our meaning on other people. We have to keep our meaning for us, and we share it with other people, but we don't let it be influenced by other people, and we don't seek to influence other people's meaning. Okay? Because the problem is, and I'll give you a bit of a analogy or whatever, I don't remember what it's called, but basically a man seeking faith will always find faith. Okay? A man seeking truth will always find truth. A man seeking dishonesty will always find dishonesty. Okay? And a man seeking enlightenment will always find enlightenment. The thing is, in life, we will always, whatever we seek, we will find out the truth. Now, this doesn't mean that the truth is real. So we got to understand that the truth we seek out, so, if we're seeking out truth in life, that truth is subjective to us. So regardless of if it's objective, if it's non-objective, okay, if we see it as subjective, if we see it as objective. If we see it as objective, we're still going to try to mold that truth to our truth. So the key thing to remember is, regardless of anything in life, whatever you seek, you will find. But it doesn't mean that it's going to be real. Now, I mean real in the sense that if I seek truth in justice, I may mislead or bend the boundaries of justice to fit my truth. So the problem is, when I seek with certainty for an outcome, I may be inclined to manipulate the circumstances to guarantee the outcome. So you got to understand, the problem with this is doesn't give us authentic data. This gives us highly biased, so we have a potential to become biased towards the outcome. Because if I want to know that truth is honesty, honor, like having a code of values that you do not break, if I want to believe that, I will skew all truth into that framework. Now, it doesn't mean that everyone else will see it in that framework. So that's where the data becomes misleading, is when I believe that the framework means this, but other people believe that it means something else. And that's exactly how our society is at the moment. And you can see it across many things, but you got to understand this. With morality, okay, morality is the consequential equal of justification. So whatever you can justify reasonably as being a moral act, okay, your morality sits beyond that point. Okay, so if I can justify, beating someone to a pulp because they're a predator, then for me to take those actions is not immoral. But it doesn't mean that others won't see it as immoral. So what we've got to understand is that we have to have consensus between what is acceptable and what is not acceptable, and then we've got to understand that individually we work within those bounds, and we don't seek to create those bounds to serve us, but we look to see how we can serve within those bounds, okay? So for example, with me personally, I don't believe in taking advantage or hurting people. Okay, now that doesn't mean I don't believe in violence. It means I won't come up and attack you, okay, for no reason without provocation, because I require you to attack me before I am able to respond, because I just would rather not have to go out there and deal with fuckwits trying to fuck with me. So if I don't go out there and look for shit, the likelihood that I'm going to get in shit is highly less. And literally throughout my life, people don't fight me. Some people want to fight me, but they never really understand what it means to fight me. See, in a fight, you may look at me thinking, oh, I'm going to knock your teeth in. Whereas I look at you and I'm either going to punch you in the throat and try and bruise your esophagus so you choke to death within a couple of minutes. I might hit you in the temple and try and bruise your brain and get bleeding on the brain. I might knee you in the nuts and try and bruise your stem if you're a dude. I would never attack a girl, but if a girl attacks me first and there's physical threat, then I will deal with that physical threat. But unless there's a physical threat to my life, I will not respond. So, but the thing is people don't understand that. But I don't I don't respond to it. So if someone's trying to start me, I understand that, my aim is to take them out of their position of advantage. So I want to hit them unexpectedly, because the majority of knockout blows are the unexpected blows, because you can't prepare, so you get sensory overload and it causes your nerve centers to shut down for a short period. So that's the thing, is if you're competent and capable and able to defend yourself, you don't need to respond to all acts of violence. You only need to respond when you perceive physical danger. And then, how you deal with that is you then go to the maximum aggressiveness in the shortest period of time, because what that does is that can, then we're playing on, behavioral psychology, and we're trying to manipulate the subconscious into understanding, what we're trying to do is we're trying to invoke that fight or flight predatory instinct where they feel like a prey. Okay? But what we want to do is we also want to implement shock and awe, because if we're able to overload their optic and their audio and visual, their audio, visual and physical senses, what we're able to do is we're able to shock and stun people to the point where their brain just can't compute, and it needs to reassess because too many variables approached at the one time. So that's sort of there's many different layers that we're going into. But when we understand the human mind and consciousness like this, okay, we're able to understand how we developed and the reasons for why we developed. So the reason, we have emotion is to help connect us. But it's also, emotion is something that was developed within us when we were building tribes, when we were in the Stone Ages. So there was a lot of predators. So the emotions also developed to be instincts where it's fight or flight, predatory instincts. So in any, dangerous engagement, if we understand those instincts, we can take people out of their logical mind into their unconscious mind. And how we do this, and you'll understand this if anyone's ever gaslighted you. So if I say something that offends you and then I keep provoking you, you will become emotionally unstable, if you let it, because you'll start to respond on emotions. And as that increases, and the more you become emotional, the more you get fixed into automatic routines. So you're basically running on automated programs. Now, when we get into, understanding fighting and combat, if I can get you into there and you don't really have any automated processes set up, so you haven't done an effective amount of training to set up scenarios and things like that, what will happen is you will just basically go blank and either not understand how to respond, or you'll instantly feel a need to cower or flee. Trust me, I speak from experience, because when I was young, between the ages of 8 and 15, when grown men would try and physically assault and attack me, I wouldn't understand how to deal with that situation. I had to learn how to deal with that situation. So the thing is I had to learn how to create those scenarios of how to respond to different threats of violence. So the thing is, many people don't do that, or they don't seek to control their mind in the sense of they don't seek to control their emotions. So the majority of people who go out and look to start a fight are genuinely insecure about themselves, and they feel inferiority complexes. So the thing is if you know this and someone comes to provoke a response to you, well, you can play that to your advantage by making them really feel intimidated and inferior to you. So if we understand that they're going to do that, well, if you're trying to provoke me, if I am emotionally blank and not responding, And it's not a fear response, it's just I'm just standing there looking dead in the eye with you and just assessing you. And I just go silent and assess you. If I do that to you, how are you going to provoke me? Well, you're going to try and say something smart. So then if I don't respond to that, or I laugh at you, like, what are you going to do? If I smile, and the key to this is you have to understand how to project the field of energy that you want them to feel. And I learned about this in many different ways, but one of them was through love. But basically, in a fight, if I project to you that I'm having an amazing time and I'm happy as fuck, and you're trying to provoke me and I'm not even threatened and I'm not even angry, it's harder for you to try and justify an attack against me. So the thing is, but it's also harder for you to assess because you'll assume that I am unaware that physical violence is coming. Whereas in my mind, I am projecting that with the full understanding that I am assessing you to watch for a movement where I can guarantee that you're about to try and strike me and then I'm going to hit you unexpectedly. See, that's the thing. So it's being able to control multiple different levels of your emotional states simultaneously while remaining in full control of your conscious thought. So when we get put into fear, we instantly get put into our subconscious, which controls our emotions. And when we get put into our subconscious, which controls our emotions, it doesn't control logical reasoning. So the problem with that is without logic and reasoning, we can't create cohesive and coherent formulated attacks, and we can't predict behavior because we're just reacting to the behavior. Now, don't get me wrong, okay, in all fighting, okay, when we're talking about martial arts, when we're talking about, boxers and all that, that's why they train so much, is so that it's ingrained. They have multiple different strategies ingrained into their subconscious so they don't consciously have to fight. While some technical fighters will consciously fight, some natural fighters will just get into the flow of fighting and they'll just anticipate and predict, and they'll be in a state of ebb and flow. So we got to understand there's those two states, but in both of those states there is negative states to that. There are positive states where we're in the ebb and flow, and we're also in the technical mind. So what I mean by the technical mind is when we can understand and comprehend what's happening and calculate and formulate our responses. So for example, anything you do for a long duration that you develop and get really, really good at, you'll either just be naturally good at and you'll just know how to do it, not understand exactly what you're doing, just know the outcome that it will get. And then there's the theoretical or the logical minded approach where you've learned processes on how to do it, and when you're presented with a task, you run different scenarios on different processes and different applications. So when we're able to understand this, what we're able to do is learn, how do I learn best, but we're also able to understand, well, what are the different methodologies and ways of learning that. So for example, to learn something logically, we need repetition. But also to learn something subconsciously, we also need repetition. But it's two types of repetition. To learn logically is the repetition of actively learning, listening, reading, writing. It's all the theoretical knowledge. While subconsciously, to learn, what we need to do is we need to experience. So our conscious mind is all of our logical processing and understanding, and our unconscious mind is all of our feelings and our emotions and our instincts. So what we're able to do is, if we're able to understand the differences between the act of learning and the act of doing, okay, because we really need to understand this, and this is the formula of manifestation, is when we get to understand both in depth. So we got to understand, to manifest, what we need to do is create a vision. We need to associate an emotion, a feeling to it, so that we can feel it now in the present. And then we have to take actions towards it, actions that we feel guided to take. That is manifesting. And then we just need belief that if we take those actions, we will reach the goal that we want, or the objective that we have. So, by really understanding this, we are able to be, do, and have anything we want in life, but also we're able to understand the differences between, well, what do I need to do to become competent and capable? Well, I need to learn, but then I need to gain, experiential knowledge and experiential data. I got to get punched in the face to understand how to avoid it. I can watch someone avoid a punch in the face all day long, but if I don't understand the difference in speeds and things like that, then I'm always going to cop that punch in the face. So that's what we got to understand. And as kids, how did we learn? Well, the first way we learned was by doing. So it was ingrained into us. But then we were told that that wasn't the right way. And this is the misconception in life by society, is that there's a right or a wrong way to learn. There is no right or wrong way. There just is the way you learn. So however you learn is how you learn. And understand this, learning is just memory retention. That's it. And what it is, if we want to understand memory retention, we've got long-term and short-term. So short-term is all about like liquidity. So we have to be liquid in our thinking of being able to ebb and flow between different forms of memory, so different memories. So how we do this is by actively doing multiple things constantly. So from jumping from one activity to another, to another, to another, and just constantly doing that and building a behavior of being able to think about multiple different topics within the same day or time period. And with long-term memory, we have to understand that, well, memory is actually, the key to that is, well, long-term memories in our subconscious. Well, how does our subconscious understand anything? Well, it understands through meaning, emotion. So we got to understand the emotions that we give to pieces of knowledge or memories, okay, or pieces of information, is how we're able to train our brain to be able to access them. So, for example, all of my self-defense knowledge and understanding and fighting and combat is aligned and associated with aggression and anger. So if I want to understand, like if I feel threatened, all I have to do is become aggressive and angry, and my mind will remember all the information I need and just tell me what to do. So we got to understand this. And if I want to, like, for example, like with business, I try and associate like meanings of, enjoyment, happiness, fulfillment, things like that, so that when I want to think about different business ideas and get my mind into that mode, I just think about, like, I try to feel fulfillment. And once I start to feel gratitude and fulfillment, boom, all those memories, all that information is right at my access. Now, what we got to understand is, think of our mind as like, our brain is the computer, like the computer, right, with all the memory and shit on it, and our consciousness, okay, is the software. So through me shifting and changing my beliefs and thoughts, I am able to shape and change the software that operates the hardware. Okay? So when we understand this, but what we got to understand is our body, okay, is like the biomechanism. So our body is not disconnected from our brain in the sense that our body holds like a lot of, if we were to think of it like the CPU, the graphics card and all of that,